Hello and welcome back to the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. You are watching Daily Dive. It is Friday, February the 7th, 2025. I'm your host, Michael Carvelis, in Guyton, Georgia. Producer Joe is behind the scenes in Bandit Land, New York. We are live on 12 on Sports via YouTube, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV. Subscribe to the 12 on Sports YouTube channel for other great shows and live sports. On today's awesome episode of Daily Dive, as we are tuning into once again another week wrapped up here of Season 3, Professor Adam, a.k.a. Adam Levi, of the Lacrosse Matrix Podcast. Poutine Pats, a.k.a. Pat Gregoire, of OTCB Podcast, talks betting. And, of course, Pick'em. Myself and Producer Joe's picks and best bets. And dare I say, Producer Joe is bringing up the rear at this point. This show is presented by tickets.12onsports.com. That's tickets.numbers12letters OZsports.com. Get your National Lacrosse League tickets for less by going to that website, which includes every sport and all your favorite artist concerts, not to mention other things as well, like Broadway and theater. Tickets.12onsports.com. We would like to now welcome in a very regular and special guest on the show, Adam Levi. Welcome back to Daily Dive. How are you, sir?
I'm awesome, Mike. Very excited for this weekend. Feeling healthy, rejuvenated, and excited. One thing, and I'm sure you're very excited about it, we've got 4 games on the schedule this week, but we can watch every single one of them without an overlap. So how about that? That is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good that the NLL schedule maker finally figured out how to work things. I'm kidding. I don't know if it did it butt heads with the Super Bowl last year, or we were good last year, right?
That's a good question. I don't know offhand, but I doubt that they would have had any issues with the Super Bowl. That would definitely be poor schedule making.
Yeah, Philadelphia could either win 3 times this weekend or lose with the Sixers, Wings, and Eagles playing, so we'll have to see.
And which would you prefer, Mike? Would you want them to lose all or win all?
I wouldn't mind seeing the Eagles win it, but I hate the Sixers, and I like the Wings though, so I'm like torn in half on a few of those.
That's true. Yeah. Joe Rizzaterra's on the wing. Sorry, I should have put the pieces together. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, very excited for this weekend's games. It's going to be great. February action. We're really at this halfway point now of the season, so things are heating up.
Latest on Lacrosse Matrix Podcast, sir.
The next episode, which will come out tomorrow, is going to be Neil Doddridge, former Detroit Turbo player, won a championship with them in 1991, played with the Gate brothers, also former Bandit champion with them in 1996, played in the National Lacrosse League for 14 seasons. I know Neil from Vancouver. He's a Vancouver, West Vancouver guy. So we got to see each other and get to know each other a lot when I was living out there. So it was good to catch up with him. Very excited. And yeah, it's and then I've got some 2 great episodes coming up next week. We've got Connor Kirst of the Desert Dogs, who's been on the injured reserve lately, but still having a great season. And then another special one. I'm not going to give away who that guest is, but I'm sure it's going to be electric.
Jeff T. I'm kidding. Has Preston made his picks?
He has made his 4 picks, and I'm feeling good about them. Now, if there's some upsets, that's okay. I can deal with that. I feel pretty confident in his decisions this weekend, so let's see if he can win Preston's picks.
He must have win his own damn league. It's funny because he might actually have hacked your Cool Bet account maybe if he's taking all favorites, but don't give that away. Watch the video, folks. All right, Adam Levi here. We're going to hype up the 4 games of the week. Let's start off, of course, all times Eastern here. Tonight's games got 7:30. Mammoth at the Swarm on my LFG yesterday. I said one of these teams is going to feel like they're getting back on track. The other one is like, dang it. So what we got, Mammoth Swarm, in your opinion?
So there's so many highlights I feel like to look forward to for this game. First of all, it is another, rekindling between Joey Capito and the Colorado Mammoth. So that'll be great to see. I think that those matchups generally fare well, although it's been interesting to see that Colorado has actually fared better against the Swarm, whether Georgia or Minnesota on the road. So they have a great record. I believe it's 11-6 in franchise history on the road against this franchise. So that is good news for the Mammoth, who are on the road this week. A win would be huge for them, but also for the Swarm. If they win and move to 6-3, this would be the first time they would have a 6-3 or better record at the halfway point of the season since the 2018-19 season. So, things are looking up for them. The injury report for that team did just come out. So Adam Wiedemann not in this game. Jeff Henrick listed as questionable. So if Henrick can come in while Wiedemann is out, that is positive for the Georgia defense. Brett Dobson would love to have some help in front of him. The way that he's looked, not what we have expected of him so far this season, but definitely, as we've talked about with other teams, like the Albany Firewolves and different teams who have been missing defensive pieces, it is very important for those guys to be available in front of their goaltender.
Love it. Who do you think wins it personally?
I think that Colorado is going to win it, but I'm also, as I've said on my show, It Wobble with Steven Stamp, that is now featured on Inside Lacrosse, Inside the World of Box Lacrosse. It Wobble is the what's the term when you have letters and it makes up something? I don't know.
Acronym.
Acronym. Yes, there you go.
Okay.
So It Wobble is how it is referred to. I think that I've been trying very hard to stay consistent with my picks all season long and my points that I've been trying to make. So Colorado, as I've said on this program many times, that is my team who I think is going to continue to prove and be a real challenge this season.
I like that. Tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern, the Calgary Roughnecks at the Vancouver Warriors Molaski Bowl #2. Warriors won this game on December 28th in Calgary. Does Calgary stand a chance against the Aiden Walsh?
So I would say that Calgary, we're not giving them enough credit. They have been very good this season, or at least I should say performing over expectations. Dane Doby, Curtis Dixon in particular, turning back the clock. But definitely even guys like Jesse King and others have been fantastic at facilitating the ball. Cam McLeod, you've talked about goalies and goalie controversies throughout your show over the last couple weeks, and he really stepped up in the last game. We've seen so many young goaltenders really step into positions where I think for the most part, we weren't sure if many of these younger goaltenders have been ready for this moment. Cam McLeod seems to be growing into that position. So I think that that's been very great for them to see. I do think that Calgary definitely stands a chance, and I think this is going to be an incredibly competitive battle. Vancouver does do very well at home, so we'll have to see if that fan base, who's now drawing 9,000 to 10,000 fans a game inside Rogers Arena, really helping to boost that team, if that is going to put them over the edge. I do think that Vancouver is going to win this one, but I would be so unsurprised if Calgary won.
I think you were the person that said that Vancouver is one of two teams that's undefeated at home, and the other one is Buffalo. Interesting.
Right. Yeah, it was them and the Philadelphia Wings as well, but Philly, of course, lost at home the past week. So now it is just the two of them. So, yeah, Vancouver wants to stay toe-to-toe, at least home record-wise, with Buffalo. They do need to win that game.
Speaking of the Philadelphia Wings, Thunderbirds at the Wings tomorrow at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Michael Sowers, even if he becomes a scratch, has now transformed that pick from Albany into a third rounder because he's going to be on the active roster this weekend, as the Wings announced after I did. You and Dan Aresti also let people know that as well. So you can touch on Sowers, but you also touched on, I've said it a million times on the show now, the over 25.5. What you got?
Yeah, I mean, so I did make a betting tweet, and you look at the defenses between these two clubs. I mean, they are literally the second and third worst defenses when it comes to goals against per game this season. So even though the over is quite high, the way that these defenses have looked. And also we talk about the injuries for Philadelphia missing Scott Dominy. And an interesting point, and I'm not saying that this is an issue for Philadelphia, but when we look at individual performances, when you look at the wings, especially defensively, and you say, well, okay, Dominy's not there. Who's going to stand out? We talked about this last week. You mentioned Connor Sellers. There's been guys like Alex Pace and others. It's actually, when it comes to loose balls, which I think is a great stat in terms of hustle stats and
Yeah.
showing who's going to, fight for those gritty, important possessions. No one outside, or there's only one player, and it is Connor Sellers outside of Dominy on that defensive side who even has more than 40 loose balls this season.
Yeah.
And that, from an individual standpoint, you would want to see more from that, especially with the amount of games that the Wings have played already this season. Also, the same can be said in terms of caused turnovers. I believe the Wings leader outside of Scott Dominy has 13 caused turnovers this season. When you have played 8 games, that you'd want one of your other leaders to be higher than that. So those defensive numbers aren't there. And that has also, I think that speaks to the goals against average that we've seen against them. I think that Halifax is on a roll right now. I think it's going to be a great game. I do think that Halifax ends up taking this one, although I will say, and I know you've talked about it, and I believe it was Teddy Jenner who talked about the value of who is the most valuable player, and I know he had suggested Challen Rogers or Tom Schreiber, particularly if those teams continue to go on and have the success that they've had over the last 3 games, and I think that those are very viable candidates. Although I would say that when the Rock are healthy, their roster is very balanced, just like the Bandits. And when you go through those defensive numbers with Philadelphia and you see the amount of goals they've given up, and then you see the production that Mitch Jones or Joe Resetarits is having this year, the value of their offense is more valuable to the Wings than Byrne or Smith on Buffalo or Schreiber or whoever on Toronto, in my opinion, just because if you look at the lack of defensive strength on the Wings, that offense becomes all the more important. And so that's why I've been pretty, for me, those 2 guys would be my leaders. And also, voter fatigue plays into it. I know we were talking off the air, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson.
Oh!
But yeah, when you see Dane Smith have the year that he's having again and again, and Josh Byrne again and again, it's like, okay, well, who else is going to step up? And now there are a bunch of guys that are stepping up, and I lean towards those guys as well. So it'll be nice to see how they're continuing, and also give you a really cool Levy nugget that with Jones and Resetarits, they are both on pace to score 50 goals this season. They would only be the 3rd duo of teammates in NLL history to have 50 goals in the same season. So it is pretty impressive that is the case. Yeah.
Who are the other 2? Dane and Josh?
No. It is Mark Stainhouse and John Tavares did it in 2009, and then the other one was in 2000. Yeah, I believe it was. Yep, it was the Gate Brothers. 2002.
That's the easy one.
Yep, 2002. Gary had 50 goals. Paul had 54. Stainhouse and Tavares each had 51 in 2009.
So if we're gonna get the nugget, we're gonna get the whole 10-pack of nuggets here. We can't just get it one.
Yeah. And I mean, everyone's ordering a 10-pack. I would personally, if I was getting, especially if I was ordering from, let's say, Wendy's, no free ads, I would get the spicy nuggets, just because not only are they just extra delicious, but who doesn't love a spicy nugget?
Well, if we were rappers, we could get a McDonald's nugget meal named after us, but we're not rappers.
You know what my rap name was in high school, Mike?
Little Levy?
No. No, although I am only 5'8", so I guess that's fair.
Oh!
That is, yeah. But
What
no,
was
it was Home Slice. Home Slice.
Oh, come on. That's anyone can be home slice. Come on, man.
Yeah, but it meant something because I was from New York and we're like the capital of sliced pizza. And so I was like, I'm in my home and I got a slice and this is my
Yeah,
home.
I bet. You had bars. You had a little nugget, or if you would.
Yeah.
I hate to keep going down this route, but I was actually going to mention someone coined your zoom in shots Levy lens. That was a good one too.
Yeah, no, it's great. I love it when, people pick on to stuff, and it's important, that we I don't want to say hold the refs accountable because they're doing their very best. And I don't want to say that they're not doing a good job, but look, they're people. They're prone to make mistakes. And it's nice when we can sometimes catch those mistakes. So it's good to have that kind of Levy lens available to the public.
Trademark. All right, Seals at Rock, 7 o'clock. Wait, do we? Yeah, okay, Seals at Rock. I was like, did we do the Wings? Yeah, we just did the Wings. This to me is the game of the week, even though Seals are the biggest underdog this week. I get it though, because Rock are on a heater, Seals are on a not so heater. What you got for this game tomorrow? Is it your game of the week?
My game of the week actually I think all the matchups are great. I think each one of those games has potential to go down to the wire, go back and forth, be super competitive, and each of them also see key performances from key players. So I think it's going to be a fantastic week all around. I would lean towards saying that it would be Colorado versus Georgia. No,
Okay.
I'm gonna call an audible right there and say Calgary, Vancouver, just because of
Hi,
it
hi. Okay, you're good.
and the rivalry. Got to call an audible on Super Bowl weekend. So yeah, but Vancouver, Calgary, definitely I think would be mine, just because of the rivalry aspect, the way that they've been competing with each other lately. Vancouver really hungry to just continue to start putting wins together again and again, like we saw them in the beginning of the season. Calgary, they're at the point now where it's like, okay, well, put up or shut up. They've said we are not these underdogs that aren't going to do well this season. We're better than that. And now they're at their point where they have to keep doing that, or else they're going to let themselves down, and they're going to actually prove themselves wrong and prove the rest of us right who thought that they weren't going to be great this season. So I think the pressure's on them as well. But it's going to be an exciting matchup. But yes, when it comes to San Diego and Toronto, I do think Toronto wins. San Diego just has not had it this season. Offensively, I can't put a finger on what has been going so wrong, but it is, really shocking to see the level at which they are not producing with consistency on offense, especially with the lineup that they have. And it really does pose the question. We have the NLL trade deadline coming up within the next couple of weeks. I believe it's on March 10th, where you now are in a position where this next month is very critical for a lot of teams. And what decisions, let's say San Diego, who has to play Toronto and Buffalo twice in their next 3 games and falls to 3-8, what do they do come trade deadline if they are really out of playoff contention, especially knowing that they have a lot of pieces on there that are veteran pieces that could really help other teams. You made a great point, Mike, earlier in the week when you were talking about the value of a guy like Paul Dawson. I brought up your point to Neil Doddridge on the Lacrosse Matrix podcast interview that I had, because he did make such an important inclusion to that team last year during that championship run. So do you see a guy like Kyle Rubish? I know Stamper and I were talking about that. If San Diego is out of contention, how many more years is he going to be able to compete for a championship? Do you see a veteran offensive piece like I wouldn't put Ryan Benesh there, because there was a lot of family components as to why he went to San Diego, but a Ben McIntosh or somebody else who can help put a team over the edge and give them that championship contention. So I think that the month of February is going to be crucial for San Diego and the franchise's future, based on what we know the roster to look like right now.
Yeah, and a lot of teams, like you said, it's sad it's only a 4 game weekend, but a couple of teams are definitely facing the wall here of if it's time to get Del Bianco or not. So
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. And is it a time where a team makes a move?
yeah,
And then we're seeing other, younger pieces step up. It changes when you talk about Del Bianco, all these different aspects.
right.
Eden Walsh's performance and Cam McLeod's performance makes it complicated and difficult. Well, who's going to be traded and who's going to do what? Is it fair to see Walsh leave because he's now proven himself? I mean, we saw that Hartley could come in with no strings attached and knock Hutchcraft out of the lineup. And I get it. And I know Riley is a big team guy and he would have had no issue with that, but he had proved he could be a number one starter. But when you're making a blockbuster deal, like a Del Bianco deal, each and every player's performance mattered. So, it'll be interesting this month of February.
No strings attached. No offense to Tinder. Thank you, Adam, for all that you do. Send Preston our best wishes, and Nikki as well. And you enjoy your weekend, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, and I just want to give a plug for some of the work I've done this week. First of all, I've got a great piece coming out next Tuesday on an NLL legend and the team he might have played for if he had not gone back to school. If you know, you know. But that article will be back. Article will be out on Inside Lacrosse on Tuesday. Very excited for that one to drop. Also, a feature piece on Andrew Kidd and his development. We saw how great he was against Buffalo in Week 10, stepping up, the 22-year-old goaltender, backing up Doug Jamieson, really performing well in that one, in his most prolonged start in between the pipes. So go check that article out. And then I also actually have an article out on Mike Sowers and what you can expect from him or not expect from him this weekend in Philadelphia. So tons of content. If you haven't checked out It Wobble on Inside Lacrosse, do check that out. I love doing that with Steven Stamp. It's a great little weekly project that we've started together, and we've introduced a cool segment, which I know that Lacrosse Culture Daily, Jonathan Donville and Dan Aresti are doing a fantastic college lacrosse show, and who knows more about the college game than those two, one of the best duos to talk about the college games. And Stamper and I are taking a little bit of a different approach in one of our segments, talking about Canadians who will be in the NLL who are also playing the college game. So Stamper, who is one of the lead draft experts when it comes to the National Lacrosse League, gives his thoughts on some of the guys as I fill him in on what those Canadian guys are doing in the collegiate game this spring. He's not a big collegiate lacrosse guy. I've been diving back into it, so it's been a cool collaboration that we've been doing there.
Well, that's awesome. So I have a lot of reading and listening to this weekend, but enjoy your weekend, sir. Adam Levy, you're amazing as always. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mike, and enjoy all the games, and you enjoy your weekend.
Yes, sir. Adam Levy LAX on Twitter. Adam_Levy_LAX on Instagram. We wrap up a Daily Dive. When we come back, we're talking betting for week number 11. Pat Gregoire is in the house. We'll be right back.
Don't go anywhere. Daily Dive will be right back.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
America, get back on track. with Dust Pod's Performance Stabilizer. When applied to roadways, it kills dust and strengthens the integrity of the road. Easily applied by mixing with water, Dust Pods is the future in polymer stabilization. Call 1-833-DUST-PODS or visit dustpods.com today.
Daily Dive is back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome back to Daily Dive here on this Friday edition. We have an audio-only podcast version of the show. Search Spotify, search the term Daily Dive. You can also search OTCB Podcast, including the newest episode, which is finally live. And welcome in our good friend, Poutine Pat Gregoire. How are you, sir?
Doing good, Mike. It's Super Bowl week on Sunday. We got the big game, but of course, we got a lot of lacrosse to talk to before that.
So I'm glad you mentioned that right off the bat because I'm having a little get-together. I'm just wondering, for the viewers' sake, not that I care, but are you doing anything for the Super Bowl besides just watching it?
Yeah, I've got a Super Bowl party that I will be going to. I'm making my my special pulled pork. That will be my contribution for the party. So watching it a little bit reluctantly, of course, obviously being a Bills fan, it still hurts seeing the Chiefs advance. But on the flip side, got some friends that are Eagles fans. Mackie Jenner, I know, is a big Birds girl, but I don't know, man. I have zero interest in either team winning. I'll be quite honest. But I will obviously fill out a big bet card, get all my props in, and then enjoy the game that way.
Cool Bet Canada. Obviously you're a country manager, but I'm sure you use them regardless, even if you were that or not. So there you go. All right, Patty. We got some games. We got 4 of them. So 2 tonight, 2 tomorrow. The first one tonight, 7:30 Eastern Time. That will be the theme here, Eastern Time, as always. As according to DraftKings Sportsbook, between the Colorado Mammoth and the Georgia Swarm, Swarm are favored by 1.5. It's, if you money line, not that far apart. Totals at 24.5. I wrote down this one as well, though. On Bet365, it's 21.5. I feel like, depending on where you're going, I feel like people may want to hammer that before it's too late.
Yeah, if you can get a 21 out there, absolutely hammer that. Indeed. If right now at Coolbet, it is 24 at -110 each. I would consider maybe the under at buying that half point and getting it to -122. I know that was Teddy's pick for our parlay this week. Maybe I can lay that one out at the end of the show here, but I lean under 24. That full number is a little bit scary. The way that Georgia's offense and Colorado's offense has been playing is a little bit scary to play that under as well. But I think I'm leaning the Mammoth here at +1.5, -141, a little bit juicy for my liking. But the Mammoth, I know they've only got a 5-4 record. It's been a little bit inconsistent for them. They've only won twice in a row once, and that was their opening 2 games. Since then, it's been a win, a loss, a win, a loss. So if that trend continues, they're due for a win here. So I will take the safe play, take them +1.5. I would also consider possibly rolling with the road dog at +108 at Coolbet right now. I just trust Colorado more. I trust their defense more. I trust their offense to be a little more consistent. And I also trust the fact of the matter is the defense and the goaltending. Dylan Ward over Brett Dobson. Dobson's a fine goaltender. He's a great prospect. He is going to be a fantastic goalie in this league one day. I just feel like this year he's just been a little bit too inconsistent. Big opportunity to kind of shut down those skeptics, including myself, with a big game against a Colorado team that can shoot the ball really well. But I am leaning, I'm going to definitely lean here with Colorado on the money line, but my official play will be Colorado +1.5.
I like that play. I do think the money line, I wish it was a little bit more juicy.
Yeah,
If you are going to go with the Mammoth there. And plus, I think 1-goal games, these two teams both seem to love those as well, in my opinion. Brett
absolutely they
Dobson,
do.
75.7% save percentage for Brett Dobson, 79.8 for Ward, to your point. And like you said, I trust the Mammoth more. And even if it's in Georgia, I feel like losing to the Rock by 1 goal is not the worst thing in the world, especially with 7 saves he had. Good Lord.
Yeah, Ward played really well. That was probably his best game of the year. Listening to Pat Coyle after the game, he felt like his team played really well. They just weren't locked in down the stretch. There were just too many heartbreaking plays. Gave a lot of credit for Toronto, but he felt that, Dylan Ward really presented his team with an opportunity to win. And you lose in overtime. Nothing to be ashamed of. Ryan Lee is looking healthier and healthier. He's looking great. His point total right now at CoolBet is at 6, dead on there. He has only cashed that over once this year, actually twice, sorry. 7 points against Albany on January 18th, and then again 7 points on the road against Las Vegas. So he's done it twice on the road. Maybe he continues that as a road warrior. But for me, my favorite player prop, I think I lean over with the points for Ryan Lee. I feel like he's been playing really, really well. And then you look down on the other side of the floor with Will Malcolm at 5. I like Will Malcolm over 5 points. I think he could have a big game. Just 3 assists last game, only 4 against Rochester. But we saw at many points this year, he was able to go off, and he finished with 5 points against Georgia in that loss. I think if they are going to want to come up with a win, Will Malcolm is going to have to play a big game. So I'll take the over on his player points.
So, for those in the U.S., I believe this is in Canada too. Bet365 has a 4.5 points for that part. If people are wondering if that's what they want to play it safe and not with the push.
Even better.
Ryan Lee's assists are at 3.5. We get assist this week on good Lord, on Bet365. You like that, or you stick with the points instead?
I think if you have the opportunity to play the assists, I would play the assists. We have seen the goal scoring start to uptick a little bit for Ryan Lee, but we know he is a facilitator. He's the quarterback of the offense on that right side. So if you want to go with the assists, certainly probably a little bit of a safer play, but we also have seen in years past when Ryan Lee's stick heats up, he's going to shoot the ball quite a bit. So just looking at those trends, the over 3.5 assists didn't hit. He would have hit 3 last game against Toronto, but previously 5 assists against Rochester, 4 against Albany, 5 against Albany, only 2 against Georgia, but then Halifax, San Diego, and Las Vegas finished with 4. So I think that would be the safer of the two.
I like that. I'm glad you mentioned it's a rematch, because the next game we're talking about is also a rematch. It's the 10 o'clock game tonight Eastern. Calgary Roughnecks at the Vancouver Warriors, a.k.a. Malosky Bowl, number 2. In this game, we've got the Warriors favored by 1.5. The money line for the Roughnecks is plus 110 on DraftKings. The total set at 21.5 on DK. What is your take in this game? I believe the Warriors won this game 14-10 in Calgary. 14-10 in Calgary on December 28th.
I heard Kurt Malosky talk to, I think it was on their social media page yesterday, and he said there are obviously a lot of things to take from that game and from that victory, but he's expecting a lot different of a game than previously before. He felt like his offense played really well. Last game, a lot of costly turnovers, really bad shooting. He really wants his group to clean that up to become successful against that Calgary team. He also noted that Cam McLeod was not playing nearly as well as he's playing now. I'd still argue that Cam McLeod hasn't been all that great. Had a great game last game, though. I will give him credit there. Certainly was his best game of his career as a starting goalie. So I'll give him the credit there. But I think Vancouver repeats here. They've won 7 straight games at home. That defense is elite. I know they don't have Matt Beers. Sounds like he could be out for a while, but it's not as bad as we initially thought when he had that non-contact. And obviously saw a couple of games with Vancouver over the last couple of weeks, and I've been blown away by Aiden Walsh. He has been so steady for that group. It is not a flash in the pan anymore. Like, this guy is legit. He is ready to take over a starting position. He's locked in. If it wasn't for his play throughout some of those stretches through the game, Halifax actually could have ran away with that game, the way that their offense was clicking. As we see with a lot of Halifax games, it's games of runs where the offense goes quiet and kind of allowed Vancouver to get back into it. The one thing that does scare me is Vancouver's offense, as I mentioned, with the turnovers and trying to be too pinpoint, missed the net a ton, made Warren Hill's life a little bit easier than it needed to be. They're becoming very predictable, I find. So their offense is going to have to be better. But I think this is a team that's built from the back end. They'll score in transition. They've got a great goaltender. So I'm going to lean with the Warriors minus 133 as my official play. I'm afraid of the 22 because Calgary just plays over games, and I'm afraid of the over because Vancouver just plays under games. So that's a stay away for me, Mike. But my favorite bet of them all, and I don't know what it is at some of the other books, but at CoolBet, over 4.5 points for Adam Charlambides. Charlambides, since that game against Philadelphia in the afternoon, or I guess it would have been that Monday night special, he's been on fire. 21 points in those last 3 games. He only had, I think it was like 15 or 14 prior to that. Something has clicked for him. The ball is starting to drop for him. He's playing with more purpose. He's moving his feet. He's taking it to the net. I really like what I've seen from Charlambides. So the fact that we're getting it at 4.5, where he's had back-to-back games with 6 points, and the game before that he had 9. All he needs is 5. I get it. Calgary has been playing a lot better defensively, but Charlambides has been, bar none in the last 3 games, their best player. So I'll take the over. And we're getting plus money. We're getting plus 100 for him to get 5, Mike. I love that play.
Yeah, it's also plus 115 on Bet365. Again, that's the ones I have in the U.S., not trying to snipe the cool bet there. But I love that they're also both at 4.5. So I'm also glad you mentioned the Vancouver Warriors money line, because I'm like looking at this. I have to trust, like, my lean, and I'm not saying a lean, my initial thought is Vancouver can easily beat this team by 4 goals again. The problem is you're also counting on that offense that is kind of inconsistent. So I do love the money line. There's enough value, like you said. I love that play from you, Pat. You're 2 for 2 with me so far.
Okay, I like it. We're on the same wavelength here. Sometimes, though, if you're too similar, that's where you can get in trouble. It's like, the graphic. I mean, Teddy and I have got it before where we're both on the same pick and then it loses. Or you watch the NFL pregame show and everyone is on one team. That's usually when the old takes exposed come out. But hey, let's keep these winning ways rolling. And I definitely agree with you. It is enticing to look at that minus 1.5 at plus 112 at CoolBet. But let's just play it safe. Minus 133 is not bad. Maybe just add a quarter of a unit or a half unit more than you normally would play.
All right, Hutton Jackson, easy with the units over here, pal. Do me a favor, because I'm building a DraftKings parlay from your best bets. I want to see how the CoolBet parlay looks like comparatively with your Colorado and Vancouver so far. We're going to keep going, though. Tomorrow's games, Saturday, of course, we've got the Halifax Thunderbirds and the Philadelphia Wings. I don't know if Adam Levy's tweet influenced this, but he liked the over of 25.5. It's still at 25.5 on DraftKings. It's 26.5 on FanDuel and Bet365. If you want the Thunderbirds money line, Pat, it's plus 110 if you're curious. But this game's at 1 o'clock. Obviously, big game in Philadelphia on this weekend, not named NLL. But what is your thoughts on Thunderbirds Wings?
Yeah, I don't think you could set this higher. I think it's the first time in other area or other books where we've seen a 26.5. It's 25.5 at CoolBet. That is going to be my official play. But I would play over 26.5 for sure. Both these teams love to score. I know Halifax has been vastly improved defensively, only giving up 9 goals in their last 2 contests. Warren Hill has looked significantly better as well. But the offenses for both these teams are far too potent. When you look at the way that Philadelphia can shoot the ball from the outside, if Warren Hill is not seeing the ball well, it could become troublesome. But the thing that is a good thing for Halifax, as Rob Josie mentioned yesterday on the program, was they can outscore their problems as well. So it could very well become a track meet where it's, next goal wins. I really feel like both the teams have the capabilities and are not afraid to go toe to toe when it comes to an offensive showdown. Just historically, I had a feeling, I've been around this Halifax team for a long time, and they have had Philadelphia's numbers. I always felt like they're a team that has played well against them, that has found a way to come out with victories against them. And I was correct. They are 5-1 against Philadelphia since they've come into the league. They have only lost once, and that came at home. They are 3-0 inside Wells Fargo. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the secret sauce or the ingredients that Mike Kersey has for his team to beat him. And I get it. His team is a little bit different than years past, and Philly's certainly a lot different as well. So that's just something that goes into there. But with that being said, I'm not picking a side. I think this one is far, far too close. And I just absolutely love the over. I agree with Adam Levy. I agree with Rob Josie. I agree with a lot of people here who are leaning that over. You've got 2 of the best offenses in the game, and I think they're going to be on full display.
Last season, December 2023 versus the Wings. It was an overtime game. It was 16-15 in favor of the Wings, but at Philadelphia, in February, it was 15-14 in overtime. So these two teams love that last goal. They love to pile it up. The last 3 meetings, it looks pretty crazy.
Yeah, and when you look at that at total offense this year, Philadelphia in second, 14.25 goals per game. And when you look at Halifax, they're just right below them at 12.86. Wow. Not a math guy, but you add that together, that's 27.11 goals per game, goals per game together. So again, that leans to an over. And when you look at goals against, Halifax is giving up 13.14 goals per game. Philadelphia, 13.25. There's going to be a lot of goals in this one. And I know it's a little bit scary. It's an afternoon game in Philadelphia. I've mentioned it on the program before. Sometimes you get those sleepy starts. It could be a slow start, could end up being a sweat for us. But I think once those offenses get going, it's going to be tough for either side to slow things down.
Wasn't Philadelphia Rochester last week also in a 1 o'clock start?
No, it wasn't. I thought it was. It should have been.
Or was it the Vancouver game?
I don't actually. I actually don't know. Now that you say that, maybe it was. I didn't think it was though. But
well, those last
Philadelphia
2 games
plays
27 apiece. If that helps you.
Exactly. But I mean, you could look at the flip side and say Halifax's defense and Warren Hill have only given up 9 in the last 2. But you could also argue the 2 offenses that they've gone up against aren't as good as Philadelphia. So take it what you will. There is not, for every trend and every stat that you find, Mike, this is what I find working in the betting industry. I love trends. I love those. They're great to dig up. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to be able to find something on the other side to at least make you feel good about the other side of the bet. So there isn't a perfect bet. If there was, I wouldn't have a job. There wouldn't be casinos all over the place. So, of course, that is the reality of sports betting.
I just looked it back. It was the Calgary game, so that didn't apply. By the way,
there you go. Okay.
Player goals. I know we're up against time here, but Dawson Thieves at 2.5 goals. Mitch Jones at 2.5. If that fancies you at all.
You know what? A Dawson Thede 2.5. It's pretty steep for a guy that's coming off an injury. Mitch Jones, I could see him having a big night. I know Yeah, I don't know. Probably a stay away for either one. I
Holden
think both
Katoni,
teams.
4.5 points.
Ooh, okay. I think that's one I could get behind. Holden Katoni, 4.5 points. No, I think he could be over. I think if we're going to be over, if I'm betting the over, you got to bet the over on the props because I think Katoni, I think if both teams are going to put up big numbers, it's not just going to be, Randy Stotts and Clark Peterson, or it's not just going to be Mitch Jones and Joe Rizzatera. It's like, if you're going to hit that over 26.5, there's going to have to be multiple guys on each team to have big nights. So I would lean over with Katoni with over 4.5, but not an official play.
Good point. Last game we're going to get to, of course, last game of the week, 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Seals at the Rock. If you want the Seals, they're plus 120 on the money line. The total's at 21.5. What's your play here?
I'm going Rock money line at minus 145 at Cool Bet, but I'll go one further. Rock minus 1.5 plus 104.
Wow.
I think the Rock are really starting to roll, and I like, they're getting a lot of steam and a lot of credit. Like, I know Hutton Jackson has them all the way up at number 2 in his power rankings. When you look at what they've been able to do after historically one of the worst starts in franchise history, they've been able to stick together, they get healthy, and they're looking a lot better. With that being said, I still think their lefties on offense need to be better. I'm expecting more from a Corey Small. I'm expecting more from a Dan Craig. Brian Cameron has been a phenomenal addition to that left side, but they need to be better. But with that being said, the defenses look great. Nick Rose has been much, much better. This is more of a play against and a fade against the Seals. 3 straight losses. Not one of them have been a 1-goal game. They lost, by multiple goals against Saskatchewan. They lost by 2 to Vegas, and then I believe they lost by 3 or 4 to Vancouver. The offense looks completely disjointed at times. They're not getting consistent offense. They have, in their last 4. Sorry, looking at this in their last.
I'm glad you're looking at Ottawa game because that was a 6-goal game.
Yeah. So if you're looking at that, they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in their last 5 games. They've only hit double digits once, and they just got to 10. The offense is just not playing well at all. I Trey LeClaire has been in and out of the lineup. They're still trying to find that special formula on the left side. I know Ryan Benesh is good for some goals, and Kyle Jackson's actually playing quite well. But I said at the start of the year, man, like I love the righties. The righties are probably the best in the league with Rob Hellier and Wes Berg, Ben McIntosh, and Trey LeClaire. Like, you will have a hard time finding a deeper 4 righties on a team. But the lefties, it just hasn't been good enough. And defensively, they're starting to falter. I love the defense. I think their defense is built very strong. Chris Riglieri has struggled a little bit in the last couple of games. I'm not going to put it on his head by any stretch of the imagination. But to me, you've got the Rock who are trending up this way, and you've got the Seals trending down this way. And we talked about some history, believe it or not. And I know they haven't played a whole ton since coming into the league. But the Seals have never beaten the Rock. Wow. They have not beaten the Rock once in their franchise history. I believe they're 0-4.
0-4.
Let me just, pulling this up. 0-4, 0-2 at home, 0-2 on the road. And just for me, Mike, it's just, I just don't see San Diego turning it around this quickly. I know we have a saying on this show, hungry dogs run faster. The only issue here is Toronto's a hungry dog too. I know they're playing great. I know a lot of people are giving them their flowers or their roses, we could say, for this, and they are trending in the right direction, but they still need to win. They're still playing playoff lacrosse. They realize that a loss here, basically all the good juju and the good vibes they built up, they basically start back at 0, and they got to continue to claw and scratch their way into the playoffs. It's great that they're number 2 in people's power rankings or they're in the top 5. That's awesome. That's great. You know where they're not in the top 5 is the standings. They have to continue to collect wins. So the whole motivation factor of, San Diego needs this badly. Toronto needs this badly. Toronto needs to continue to win. Toronto needs to climb up the standings. So Hungry Dog runs faster. The only unfortunate thing for San Diego is there's another Hungry Dog sitting right beside them, waiting for the opening gate to go get their food. They both want to eat. And unfortunately for San Diego, they can't just rely on being the more desperate team.
Couple quick numbers here. Seals are the biggest dog of the week, speaking of the Devil.
Okay.
Also, I looked at the 4 matchups these teams have played. You're right, it's 4-0 for the Rock. Tom Schreiber has by far the most points, and his point total at Bet365 is 5.5, if that tickles anyone's fancy. Your parlay, if the Rock money line, the Rock cover, Thunderbirds over, Warriors money line, and Mammoth cover the +1.5, plus 915 on DraftKings. How does yours come out?
Let me just put that there. What'd you say it was? Plus
1.5 Mammoth, Warriors money line, over, and then Rock cover.
Plus 1066. You're getting more juice
Yes!
at Cool Bet.
This guy. Pat, yeah, exactly, Joe. Fancy tickled. We appreciate you, Pat. I think that was worth the 25 minutes, but we'll try to do better and quicker next week. I thought it was good. Good job for you, sir. Thank you. Be sure to subscribe to OTCB Podcast and rate it. Cool Bet Canada. Poutine, Pat. We love you, man.
I love coming on this program. It's one of my favorite parts of my Friday. I've got a week off from broadcasting this week, but that doesn't mean a week off from coming on Daily Dive. So keep up the good work, boys, and I'm sure we'll chat over the weekend about these games.
Yes, sir.
Don't go anywhere. Daily Dive will be right back.
You need tickets to that next event? We've got them. That's right, tickets.12ozsports.com. Get you to any sporting event, concert, theater event that you can think of. And the promo code 12OZ or ROME gets you an additional discount. Don't feed the massive ticket corporate machine. Go to tickets.12ozsports.com and enjoy the show. America, get back on track with Dust Pods Performance Stabilizer. When applied to roadways, it kills dust and strengthens the integrity of the road. Easily applied by mixing with water. Dust Pods is the future in polymer stabilization. Call 1-833-DUST-PODS or visit dustpods.com today.
What up, everybody? It's producer Joe, the baddest daddy in producing history, here to tell you all about the baddest, daddiest merch store. Go to the link tree in the bios of either our IG or Twitter, and from there you can access merch for the only Monday through Friday live lacrosse talk show on the internet. I repeat, the only Monday through Friday live lacrosse talk show on the internet. We got hoodies for when your girl comes over and wants to cuddle. Just don't let her take it when she leaves. How about a baddest daddy cap for when you lie about how much you hate Mike in this show, but you're still here? We've got beanies so you can do that in the cold too. Guys, what's going to happen when all these moms see you dropping your kid off at practice in this thing? Want to sip like a daddy and feel like a baddie? Check out that mug. 6-time NLL champ Johnny T and savior of my Buffalo sports childhood knows what I'm talking about. Guys, I'm really going to need you to start buying shit because I'm getting sick of doing Instacart. But yeah, go check it out so you can start repping and supporting the brand. Producer Daddy out.
Daily Dive is back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
when today's awesome show ends and you're getting your tickets for the next game, be sure to get your tickets for less at tickets.12ouncesports.com. That's tickets.numbers12lettersozsports.com. You will not regret seeing things live, knowing you got your tickets for a great price. Let's run through these pick and best bets here. I now have a 3-game lead on producer Joe. That should be, let me see, 30. Yes, I have a 3-game lead on producer Joe. I'm like, how is that math adding up? But I guess it is. Yeah, it is. Look, I'm stupid. Anyways, we both have the Mammoth, Warriors, Wings, and Rock. I wonder how many people are going to do that, because I feel like the Mammoth are like the only underdog team that we took, and it's very weird how we were consensus. So what are you guys' picks? Let me know in the comments. Best bets of the weekend. I've got Mammoth money line versus the Swarm at plus 104 on FanDuel. Mitch Jones over 2.5 goals against the Thunderbirds, and the Rock money line versus the Seals at minus 154 on FanDuel. Producer Joe, who is now back to 500 in terms of best bets, has the Mammoth plus 1.5 against the Swarm. Colorado, Georgia over 21.5 on Bet365. Again, get that number while you can. Roughnecks, Warriors over 21.5, and Keegan Ball over 1.5 goals versus the Roughnecks. Kai, the goalie, said Swarm, bruh. He also said earlier Swarm by 100 today on the comments. You guys, thank you again for coming on the show in the views and comments. Thank you so much for watching and engaging. Reminder, you are the bread, you are the butter, you are the we'll just do, I'm not feeling well today, so I got no bread and butter. Not into it right now, so I apologize, folks. That was weak, though. How dare me? For all the people that come on the show as a guest, like Pat and Adam today, like those this week and those to come, thank you for sharing your platform with us, giving us validity and relevance. For Biga, who's always tapping it up on social media, for producer Joe, who's the baddest production father I know, I'm your host, Michael, saying have a great rest of your day. Be sure to follow us on socials, Daily Dive LAX, where you can find me, Bigo, and producer Joe. I'm at Michael Carvelis on both. Producer Joe is at Daddy_producers on Twitter, and Baddest Production Father on Instagram. Bigo's at LJ Lacrosse 49 on both. Have a great weekend. See you Monday, same time, same place on sports. This has been Daily Dive. Have a good one.
Thanks for watching Daily Dive. See you next time.